Hey loves, it's your girl Mariah Sincere, aka Thepassportsis on TikTok. I am a self-love coach who helps women radically transform their lives through one-on-one coaching. The proof is me. I decided at the beginning of the year that I wanted to change and then I wanted to move to a different country. And here I am. I did it in less than 6 months in a whole nother country, living out my dreams. So if you need help living out yours, hit me up at thepassportsis@gmail.com. And all of my socials are in the description box. Guys, we're gonna have quite a live today. Okay. Y'all remember that if you are coming in or if you catch the replay to hit the like button so that my message can get circulated across these YouTube streets. Now, I'm not a gossip channel. I'm not, but I had to talk about this tea right here, right? Because I honestly believe we should be talking more about the predators among us. Again, if you're coming in, please make sure that you hit a like and comments. You know, the comments keep me going. The more that y'all talk, the more that y'all engage, the longer I stay on, the more we can flow. So, guys, look, I read up on my candles. Y'all remember I told y'all I was running out of those other candles that I had? Well, I got a new one. This one is Verbena scented. And y'all, the lady who sells these candles here in Colombia, she named the business, her business is Luz de Angel JF, and the initials are like after her son who died like 3 years ago. So I was like, dang, like that's sad, but that's actually also really empowering that she made a business out of it to kind of keep her going. So yeah, let me write this up. Y'all, this is how you know I don't smoke because baby, I was lighting this lighter all kind of wrong. Okay, guys. So today the topic is P Diddy, right? So we're gonna be talking about a couple things. We're gonna be talking about P Diddy. We're going to be talking about Carisha. We're going to be talking about Stevie J, Lil Rob. We're even gonna be talking about Dream. Y'all remember that girl group Dream? The He Loves Me, He Loves You Not. Y'all don't remember that song? That was my jam. Oh my god, them white girls used to sing. Okay, they would put on a performance. They had like that one hit, but it was hitting. What up, Colombiana Mariah? I'm here. What's up, D? Okay, I got my people with me. All right, well, we're gonna get started, D Mally, since you're here. Anybody else that missed the beginning, they can catch the replay. Let me sip my coffee because I'm kind of tired and I still have a lot to do after this. Okay, so first and foremost, I'm gonna try not to like use any type of video or YouTube has been tripping. There's so many sources I wanted to use for this video, but YouTube is not playing. So I had a warning on my channel when I talked about that when I did the video about why I quit teaching, and then we started talking about Mary Kay Letourneau, and I showed the little interview. Well, now I have a warning on my channel, so yeah, YouTube definitely tripping. But so we're gonna talk about it. So yesterday, P Diddy got arrested. Okay, so his charges include. Hold on, let me go to it because I wrote it down. Racketeering. So he got a RICO charge, which honestly and truly, y'all would be surprised how easy it is to get somebody on a RICO charge because it's not a well-defined crime. It's basically any way that you're getting money in a way that could be considered illegal, and you have had to have done it at least 2 times. Like the prosecution only needs to be able to prove 2 cases in which they felt like you were participating in some type of money scheme, right? I mean, it's so loosely based, so I don't think they'll have a problem getting him on that one, right? um what's the sexual trafficking. So I think they found some stuff in those videos, and not just that. There have been several people who have come out, and so there's that man who won that lawsuit um in against him. Y'all saw he lost like $1 million lawsuit just because he didn't show up to court. Well, that man was a man of the evening, right? Who he had been doing his voyeurism and all that with. And transportation for Rockstitution. I'm trying not to say these words. Now, Cassie have already said that P. Diddy was transporting her to go commit these acts. So I'm sure they have everything they have. Y'all know the feds, they don't just they're not like local or state police. They will watch you for years. You don't know how long they've been watching you by the time they move in, because when they shoot, they don't miss. Okay, they don't miss. So I think this is really serious, and I think that he is going to be found guilty on all charges, point blank, period. I mean, I think they're going to get him worse than they did R. Kelly at this point. So I have some TikToks because I notice I'm safe when I just get on TikTok. So let's watch and see. Let me make sure everything is connected so that I can hear y'all and hear myself. I'm gonna let y'all come on later on. Mm, here we go. Okay. Mm. Did I not save that video? Here we go. Profile. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen.
Today, I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution. The indictment alleges that between at least 2008 and the present, Combs abused, threatened, and coerced victims to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. As alleged in the indictment, to carry out this conduct, Sean Combs led and participated in a racketeering conspiracy that used the business empire he controlled to carry out criminal activity, including sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and the obstruction of justice. As alleged.
Okay, so I want to know who he kidnapped and what was burned down. Okay, because he said arson. Also, a RICO charge is a conspiracy charge. So this is not just Diddy that's going to go to jail for this. I'm pretty sure a lot of people that were on those tapes or who other victims have come out and spoke against anybody close to Diddy who was participating in the foolishness needs to be scared right now, right? Because a conspiracy charge implies more than one person. You can't conspire with yourself. That's not how that goes.
Alleged Combs used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended sexual performances with male commercial sex workers, some of whom he transported or caused to be transported over state lines. Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called freak-offs, and he often electronically recorded them. The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercial sex workers, and often involved a variety of narcotics, such as ketamine, ecstasy, and GHB, which Combs distributed to the victims to keep them obedient and compliant. A year ago, Sean Combs stood in Times Square and was handed a key to New York City. Today, he's been indicted and will face justice in the Southern District of New York. Today, I'm announcing the
So it's interesting that he brought up that Diddy was handed a key to the city, because there are allegations that the police, especially in Miami, co-conspired with him as well, right? You don't do the kind of stuff that somebody like P. Diddy does, and there's no type of cooperation from law enforcement. Y'all think people never went to the police on this man? So I'm sure a lot of stuff got swept up under the rug, but it becomes different when the federal government gets involved versus local police or county police in areas in states. Now I want to show y'all something. So this guy worked security for Diddy, and he has been on a rampage doing interviews. Now, this man predicted Diddy's arrest in September. So let's take a look.
Diddy getting arrested. I believe I believe he's coming in September. Because you got to realize, the grand jury intervened. They may have 45 days, 60 days, 90 days. They never usually go past 120 days. They got enough information, and they probably got enough stuff that he's probably willing to plea bargain or see if.
And the reasons why the feds move so fast, well, first of all, by the time they raid you, they have what they need. By the time they raid you, they got you. Trust and believe. By the time they raid you, whatever they already have is enough, right? So the feds move quickly because they don't want to give you any time to try to get your ducks in a row, to move around, to tamper with witnesses. They want to move as quickly as possible. Now, P. Diddy was supposed to actually turn himself in today. He had agreed to turn himself in, but I think what happened is he was over there in New York calling people, talking to people, trying to pay people off, and that probably led the feds to be like, nah, we got to do this today. We got to move fast. So they move quick when they move in. They're slow to investigate. They take their time and they're thorough. But once they raid you and once they let it be known what they're doing, it's a wrap. Okay. All right, let's finish this video.
See if they're going to give him that, or if they're going to let him plead or something. But I don't think the grand jury is going past 120 days.
And this is inside information you're getting, right? Or this is something you believe personally?
Well, I believe that personally. And then for the fact of the matter is that I know somebody who testified to the grand jury, to the Homeland Security. And they was made reference to some they thought that they couldn't go nowhere around in September or whatever like that. So maybe around in September something will happen. Well, that's what they're waiting on. That's why all these documentaries and these people are getting arrested.
Now, they did not say, so this video says P. Diddy will be arrested in September for involvement in Pac's unaliving. Now, the feds did not announce that publicly, but it is being talked about heavily because they did talk to a witness in California about it. We know, if you've been following hip hop culture for some time now, his name has always been thrown around. People have always said that Diddy set him up or had something to do with it. So I've been hearing for a couple months now that they reopened that, right? And that Diddy's name is being brought up and that is being talked about in front of the grand jury. So they didn't publicly announce that they were investigating him for Pac's unaliving specifically, but I think they got enough on him. But my whole thing is, if he's guilty for that, again, you got to get the other people that helped cover it up. If y'all couldn't tell by now, the entire industry is falling apart. Nobody is safe. I think the next domino to fall will be Jay-Z. I wonder what P. Diddy did to piss those in power off, because let's be clear, he's not running anything. The real people running the show use people like P. Diddy and Jeffrey Epstein to get information and to get blackmail material on other people so that they can make them do what they want to do. But let's be clear, all of these people are some freaks who got exploited. And when I say exploited, I'm not saying it like they're victims, but people in power realize when you're a freak, when you're nasty and you love money, and you can easily be used as a tool to inform on other people, right? All they got to do is give you what your nasty self wants. And I'm sure Diddy enjoyed every minute of it. But we don't need to get so caught up in this Diddy case that we're blinded and feel like he's the big dog, because I promise you he's not. I promise you he's not. Okay, he done pissed the big dogs off. And now they letting him fall. That's how the devil works. Okay, the devil will set you up and give you everything that you ever dreamed of. That's why greedy people get played the most, right? And a lot of us regular people will see people like that and feel like, oh, they're winning, right? You feel like because you're doing the right thing and you're doing right by people and you're trying to practice discipline and self-control, that you're losing. But people like this that make these kind of deals with the devil set them up for everything they want. Did y'all see that series on Netflix called Fall of the House of Usher? And remember, guys, if y'all are coming in, hit the like button. Remember to comment. Liking my video lets people know that I'm on right now. But basically, in this series, Fall of the House of Usher, the devil makes a deal with these siblings, a brother and sister set, and tells them, I will make you so rich and y'all will be able to make as much money as you want to off of this drug company, however y'all need to make it. And I promise that you will not get prosecuted. The catch is your bloodline ends with you. So I don't want to ruin it. Go watch it. But basically, you can tell by the title, they fell, right? And this is what always happened. People who are in cahoots with the devil or the devil themselves will come at you with everything you ever wanted. And if you're lustful, undisciplined, and greedy, you're going to get played every time, if not on the front end, on the back end. And I think what happens with people like Diddy, they do what they do for so long. This man has been in the game for over 30 years now, right? And it's just now catching up to him. But it caught up though. Okay, let's continue. Okay, now I want to show y'all this video of Diddy. This is the same day before he got arrested. Now you can tell he nervous as hell. Looking around, watching. I wonder if the people there knew that was him. Okay, now in the midst of all this, I want to know, where is Stevie J? I want to know where is Stevie J, because I did not forget that Stevie J was getting into it with 50 Cent over P. Diddy. Okay, I remember all of that. It was definitely giving, that's my man, and I'm gonna stick beside him. And you can't tell me that Stevie J and P. Diddy ain't never bumped busties. You can't tell me they haven't. This is what I've noticed, and feel free to disagree. But men who are very promiscuous, and they're promiscuous all the way through middle age, in my opinion, from what I've observed, those men tend to be DL. A lot of them. And I'm not talking about men who, like, you might be with a woman and then after some time you go cheat, and or you might cheat and it's like a one-off thing, but it's not something like, you don't have to have multiple women. Most of the time, Men who have a woman, but then they have to have multiple side chicks, and they do this for so long. They're doing this at 30, 35, 40, where they just have all these women around. 9 times out of 10, those men swing that way. Okay. And again, I'm not talking about the guy who might have a woman and then every now and then he go get him like a side chick, or he go have a one night stand or something like that. I'm talking about these men who cannot seem to function unless they have a harem of women around. It's either they're trying to compensate for something by collecting all these women, or they want to make everybody think that they just get all these bad chicks. So it throws people off. Like, of course, yeah, he can't be on the DL. He can't like men because he just likes women so much that he can't have just one. Most of the time, those men be so, they're so freaky. I don't even know if you can call it like a proclivity towards men. What it is they just have an appetite that's so insatiable that eventually women just don't do it. They're trying to fill this hole with all these women, but they just overindulge so much in their desires that they have to just take it further and further and further. D. Malley says, I had a friend who was a sex addict. He told me he's messed with TS a few times. What is TS? Hold on, what is TS? Oh, lady boys. Yes, yes. Those men who are super, and you'll know them. It's men that just walk around with a lustful energy. Like, and again, I'm not saying this is like it's a specific one. I'm not saying men who have cheated are like this, or men who cheat every once in a while. No, this is an energy, and you just know it when you're around it. The man just seemed lustful and dirty and deviant. It's the energy, it's the aura that they carry. They talk about, they oftentimes love making comments about smegs or jokes. They're always talking dirty, always got a dirty joke to tell. Like, it's just, and again, that doesn't mean that every now and then they won't say something that's, just we all do, but it's just, you can tell it's constantly running through their mind. Yeah, those type of men BDL. So, we've seen Stevie J. He always got to keep a whole bunch of women, always in drama, relationships, drama filled, never working out. And then on top of that, you've been hanging out with Diddy since the 90s and going to all of Diddy's parties. Yeah, you can't convince me that Stevie J don't get down like that. Period. Okay, so matter of fact, I had a TikTok on that somewhere. I don't know. I'll find it. Maybe I didn't save it. Okay, so let's talk about Don Richards real quick. So, if y'all didn't know, Stevie J lost a lawsuit by default. Not Stevie J, P. Diddy. Let me see if I can pull it up. Now, this is interesting because the dude that he lost the lawsuit to, I don't know if y'all watch Tisa Tells here on YouTube, but she actually showed an interview that this inmate did a long time ago. Like, this was before Kathy even came out, right? I think he did the interview in 2018, and he was basically talking about how he sounded crazy, honestly and truly. Like, if I didn't know this man and I didn't know all this information, I know the police were sitting there thinking this man is so crazy because he was talking about the things that P. Diddy had done. And he implicated the police in Miami as being participants as well. So I'm going to pull this article up from the LA Times. Oh, baby, no, I'm not paying for that. Okay, let's go to People magazine. Okay. So I'm gonna share this. So this man right here, if y'all didn't know, he was a male male of the evening. He was a gentleman of the evening. Hey Chivia, how are you? I think this is my first time seeing you. Like I don't remember seeing your name, but I'm glad to have you here. Yeah, this is a good live tonight. We getting into it. So if you have not watched that interview that Tisa Tells did about this, like she did a whole show showing the interview that this man did with the police in 2018. So basically, he worked for this company called the Dancing Bear, and it is heavily alleged that the police in Miami are patrons of this escort service, and it's mostly men. It's all men, right? So basically, this man got taken into police custody because one day he just snapped, went into a hotel room, told all the patrons and innocent people to leave, and when the police came, he got to spraying. Like that was his target, to spray up the police. So I didn't know if he was looking for some type of revenge for something they had done to him, right? But he is serving time in prison for that. Well, he filed a lawsuit against P. Diddy. And again, he had already done an interview way before Cassie even came out, talking about what had happened between him and P. Diddy and all of that. And basically what happened is P. Diddy didn't show up to court. He's saying he never got served. And this man sitting in prison has come up on $1 million. Now, whether or not it is actually going to be paid, that is yet to be seen. I doubt, I don't know. I don't know if he'll get a payout. I'm good. Thank you. How are you? I had another name, but I subscribed to your channel. Okay, great. It's good to see you. I'm good. And you? Yeah. So this case is really interesting because I want to see if they're going to do further investigation into the Miami-Dade police. Now that they have Diddy in custody, now that people are talking, I wonder if some of those police officers that he claims were involved are going to get in trouble. And it's sad because when you think about it, a lot of those men were probably married men with wives at home. Ugh. Ugh. I'm just disturbed. Okay, so here is the security guard again. Well, hold on, I'm moving too fast. So Don Richards saw that he got his money, and she was like, "Oh, baby, no, I want some money too." Now, what I will say is disappointing is that Don has filed this lawsuit, and I don't see anybody from Diddy Kane publicly backing her up. Aubrey's not really saying anything either, and she was the main one suggesting and throwing out hints. So let's watch this TikTok. Okay.
I'm not a lawyer, but I read all 58 pages of the lawsuit filed by Don Richard against Sean Combs, aka Diddy. So let me give you a recap. So this is a civil lawsuit, which means she is suing for money. Civil lawsuits are filed by people and they are for money. Criminal cases are filed by district attorneys, prosecutors, the state, whatever you want to call it.
Now, this is what I want to say. I see a lot of people. You want to hear from them too. The police, yeah. I hear. Oh, you mean the other members of Diddy Kane? Yeah. Now, once they see this money getting paid out, I bet you they open their mouth then. Okay. I think they are just trying to see how the situation plays out because, again, this is something that can drastically change your life. And people are victim shaming. Like, I see so many people now that Don has come out saying, well, why try to get some money? Why not just file a criminal complaint? And what a lot of people don't understand is a lot of the times these people have tried to go to the police, right? But they might not have evidence enough, or the police may decide they don't want to criminally prosecute. But my whole thing is I don't have a problem with anybody getting paid for their pain because, okay, he's already going to jail regardless. Like, he's already going to jail, whether it's for her or the things he's done to other people. So let's be clear on that. So he's going to do some time, but you can't do nothing physically with a man sitting in jail. I have no problem with somebody saying, no, I'd rather get paid for my pain. You can't do anything with somebody sitting up behind bars. It might make you feel good, might make you feel better. It can definitely protect other people from getting hurt. But don't nothing feel better than when somebody have did you wrong and you get some money to spend from the situation. I promise you. Now in my life, at 31 years old, I promise you the only apologies that I accept is cash money. Because when I think about all the times that people apologize to me and I could not do anything with those sorries. Y'all remember that poem that Janet Jackson did in For Color Girls? Like, I can't do nothing with this sorry. That's how I feel about a sorry. Depending on the situation now. It depends on the situation. But in a situation as atrocious and as disgusting and as horrible as what Diddy did to these victims, the only thing that make that right is some money. I'm sorry. Period.
Call them. So for this civil case, Don is the plaintiff, and Sean Combs, Harv Pierre, and a whole bunch of Diddy's companies, plus Universal Music Group and Interscope Records, are all the defendants. Now, early in the doc, it says that Diddy was a once celebrated hip hop mogul who once explained the origins of his stage name in a US Today interview. He said he was given his nickname, Puff, because he had a temper and was known to huff and puff when he was angry. Did y'all?
Best believe they're going to use that in the courtroom. Best believe they are going to bring that up in the courtroom when they are talking about his history of violence. This is why sometimes people talk too much and tell too much on themselves, because that is him admitting on himself that he is angry and has a temper. And if you have a temper, that means that you could probably be violent.
I know that. I don't feel like I knew that. Further down in the factual allegation section of the lawsuit, it goes into the details for the basis of the suit. It describes Don Richard being selected for making the band in 2004 and then ultimately being named as a member of the group Danity Kane. Don alleges that for Danity Kane's first album, she is owed an estimated $1 million for unpaid salaries. She says for Danity Kane's second album, she is owed an estimated $500,000 for unpaid salaries. And then for touring, she says she is owed an estimated $1.8 million. The document notes that Diddy fired Aubrey O'Day and D Woods on live television at the height of its fame in 2008.
I don't like her energy. I don't like her style and direction where she's going with it. I don't like what she does to the brand when she's wilding out there, being overly raunchy, promiscuous.
I'm not meaning.
So I don't want you in the group no more. And anybody else that want to go with her could go with her. Based on a lot of things that I've heard, you're not really.
He used to talk so crazy to them, not just to them, to everybody that did making a band. Okay, he used to talk so crazy to anybody who went on his shows. So again, all of this is starting to catch back up. Best believe some of the ways that he talked to them are going to be used in the courtroom.
A happy camper in this situation.
No, I don't think anyone has been happy for a long time in this situation.
Okay, so you could go too.
Which resulted in Danity.
Very much giving my way or the highway. Also, do y'all remember he used to call them fat? Used to not let them sleep. They be up for days. He would be working them like mules, like they weren't people. And I understand it takes a certain level of grits and hard work to be great at anything that you do. But a lot of the stuff that he was doing, it was just a power play. For example, remember on Making a Band when he sent them to go walk and get him some cheesecake? That was just to see if they would do what he would say, right? If they wanted it that bad. That had nothing to do with them building a skill set or being able to perform on stage and being able to deliver a quality level of work. That was all ego looking back. All right, guys, if you're in here, please remember to hit that like button so that people can know that I'm on live.
Kane being disbanded in 2009. Back to Making the Band, the lawsuit says that during that...
And I was mad about that, y'all, because I love me some Danity Kane. Y'all remember we in the car, we ride slow. They had some cute little bops. Okay. I played their first album on repeat for weeks. Okay. I was like, I think I was 12 when that came out. You could not tell me that I was not that girl. I'd be in the mirror singing and dancing.
Filming, Diddy spoke to the female contestants in a hostile, condescending manner, calling them names such as fat, ugly, the B word, and hoes. Specifically, the lawsuit says that Diddy told Dawn she was too skinny and needed to do something about this. There's also an incident from 2005 highlighted where the docs allege that Kim Porter left Diddy's studio in tears with visible face injuries, including a lacerated lip. There's allegations of Danity Kane's extreme work conditions noted, saying that they were denied adequate food and sleep. And because Diddy would allegedly be high on drugs, he would be awake for extended periods of time and force them to record and rehearse for stretches of 36.
That's why a lot of people in the industry, if you notice, they don't age well because they have to do drugs. Even y'all do so many things. And I'm like, when I think about these people who are workhorses, I'm like, I know y'all do drugs because I be on 2 or 3 cups of coffee a day, okay, and an energy drink. So I know these people be on hardcore drugs.
To 48 hours without breaks. Dawn alleges that these conditions and requirements became so frequent that she eventually started falling asleep in a sitting position, fully dressed and with makeup on. So if she was woken up, she'd be ready to go. And all of this contributed to and heightened her anxiety. There's also mention of Diddy holding meetings in his underwear. And when asked to put clothes on, the docs say he would refuse and say that, quote, "This is my effing house." There are some incidents involving
Imagine
Cassie
you
and Diddy that are also
Wait, imagine your boss call you in for a meeting and they show up in their draw. They show up in their draws and then conduct the meeting. Like, how can you take that seriously? What are we gonna talk about here? Because first of all, I'm either really uncomfortable or I'm busted out laughing. Somebody like me, I would personally leave because I'm not about to play with you. But I don't see how they took any of that seriously.
detailed in this document, alleging in one particular one, when Dawn and her bandmate from Dirty Money, Kalina, went to Diddy's house one morning, Cassie was in the kitchen frying eggs when Diddy allegedly came downstairs, quote, looking high on drugs, approached Cassie and screamed, "I've been asking you for my ish. I can't stand you, B. You never do it right." He then allegedly pushed Cassie against the wall, choked her, and drug her up the stairs. The docs say although Dawn wanted to step in, she was physically led out of the residence by her bandmate, and then she returned to her hotel room. The following day,
That's how you know these women are either desperate or they're not girls. Because if I see a man doing that to a woman and we are in his residence and it's 3 of us, oh, we all jumping. You're getting jumped today, sir. Point blank, you're getting jumped. We beating you up. Period. I'm gonna find some pots. I'm gonna find something. I'm not about to just watch it and let it happen. And I understand that a lot of times they didn't want to go to the police. Um, and I understand a lot of the times money was on the line, but I just don't understand watching all that, not not doing anything about it, and now wanting to come out years later. And again, they should be coming out, but it's like, where was your courage when it was going on? Okay. It's not enough to just tell a woman, hey, leave this man, leave this man. And I know part of them were probably thinking, well, we can jump on him right now, but she's probably still going to stay with him. Still, I just could not watch a woman getting beat right in front of me. It's one thing for a woman to come tell you he's doing this, but you're not there to stop or do anything about it. So you just kind of try to give your advice. But I wish I would let a man beat up on another woman in front of me. If you're gonna do that and you're gonna accept that, then y'all do that out of my presence. But while you're in my presence, no, everybody around is going to be jumping you.
the docs say that Dawn received a call demanding she return back to the house. And upon doing so, she was led to the recording room. The lights were dim, the door was locked, and she was given a flower and eventually told by Diddy that, quote, "This is normal. This was just a lover's argument where no one was hurt. This is what love is. I'm giving you an opportunity. If you want to make it, you'll shut your mouth. If you say anything, there will be consequences." And then further warning that, quote, "People end up missing." The docs say that.
Oof. Okay, so I didn't know he said all that. So basically, he was threatening these girls' lives. So okay, they might have been afraid to get unalived. This is some sick, twisted stuff.
When Dawn and her bandmate would try to encourage Cassie to leave Diddy, somehow he would find out and told them, quote, "Y'all bees don't get in my relationship. Don't tell my bee what she needs to be doing. Just make money and shut up." As well as,
Y'all bees don't get in my relationship and don't tell my bee what she needs to be doing. Does that not sound like a lot of these men who get on the internet and tell women the reason why y'all are single is because you listening to other women and because you have these female friends? And again, I'm not trying to like demonize all men or even say that all men say this, but it's a lot of them that are very loud on the internet with it that don't want you to have friends. That's the number one sign that a man is getting ready to begin laying hands on you, that he's isolating you from your friends and family. Why? Because everybody knows that from the outside looking in, the stuff that this man is doing is not normal and it looks crazy. And a lot of the times, if you're in a relationship with this type of person, you can't see because you're so blinded, because you're up in your feelings, whether it be because you are dependent on this person for money, or because you're eggplantmatized, or because you had a bad childhood and this person has convinced you that they love you. A lot of the times you cannot see it for what it really is, versus your friends and your family that they don't love this man. They're not hypnotized by him. So people are going to see it for what it is, and they're going to advise you properly. They're going to tell you to leave and get out of the situation, and it's not going to get better, and that is not love. But a lot of the times, if you let this type of person get into your head, what will happen is you'll start feeling resentment towards your friends and your family for speaking the truth to you, and then you begin to self-isolate. It's a vicious cycle.
"I an artist, I shelve careers, you could be missing, and you bees want to die today," among other things. The doc mentions parties with copious amounts
He's steady telling them they want to die or they're going to go missing. It's crazy.
of illegal activities, men and women who appear to be underage, and different acts being performed at these parties. It says that people are required to give up their phones, doors are kept locked and guarded by security, and sometimes even police officers are in attendance, which sends a message that Diddy's influence and his connections extend to even law enforcement officers. So reporting him to authorities would be unacceptable and pointless. There's a specific dinner from 2009 or early 2010 that's
So yeah, when people are coming out saying, well, why didn't they go to the police? If the police are participating, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? A lot of the times they're probably not even going to file a report, or they know how to make it go away. So you're just wasting your time, especially if it's a situation where your whole career depends on you shutting up. You would just be talking for nothing, okay? Completely destroying your life for absolutely nothing.
also described in these documents, where it says celebrity guests such as Neo, Usher, and Mr. Jimmy Iovine, the then CEO of Interscope, all attended this party. And in front of all of these guests and more, Diddy allegedly punched Cassie in her stomach, causing her to double over in pain and cry. She was escorted out while Diddy continued to socialize with the guests. And despite Interscope execs witnessing this themselves, the docs say that they continued their deal with Bad Boy, paying out $50 million.
Okay, so these are Interscope executives, meaning these are people who have way more money and power than Diddy. So they weren't afraid. So if they watched this behavior and did not check him, I wonder what they do behind closed doors. Right? Because at the very least, they could have said, "Hey, you're doing too much." Like, we understand that for a long time Diddy was the gatekeeper in hip hop. He had a certain role to play. right? But at the same time, you don't want that person who was supposed to be your agent or performing a duty drawing too much attention to himself and laying hands and feet on women in public. So no, the fact that nobody said anything and they just kept going, to me, that makes me believe that these men also engage in this type of behavior with women. The industry is dirty.
In exchange for a future Bad Boy release distributed through Interscope. There's mention of Diddy allegedly throwing objects like albums, laptops, and food against the wall or at individuals during recording sessions, making Dawn fear that if she angered Diddy, all of that could be directed at her and could cause her serious harm. For Dawn's work on Dirty Money, she alleges she is owed $1.2 million in unpaid wages and royalties and $350,000 for touring. In regards to SA, there's allegations of Diddy constantly entering Dawn's dressing room, groping her chest and butt with no legitimate purpose and without consent. It says that.
Okay, I thought she was too skinny. All right, so this is what y'all have to understand about men like Diddy. A lot of the times, they will try to neg you or lower your self-esteem so that they can have their way with you. Because he was just saying the girl's too skinny. Now you walking up in the dressing room, groping her. Clearly, you liked something that you saw.
That Diddy caressed her butt to show the stylist where he wanted her high-waisted undergarments for her performance to be positioned, and attempted to touch her chest, claiming to show the stylist where he wanted her bra strap to go. And then it alleges that in 2010, Diddy told Dawn he wanted to gift her some enhancements for Christmas, and then he cupped her chest, saying that she's currently an A and he thinks she should go to a D. There's another 2010 incident in which, while at a studio, Diddy allegedly raised his hand and swung towards Dawn's face. A bodyguard grabbed her, escorted her and her bandmate out of the studio, and put them in the Bad Boy Records Bentley and locked the doors. Inside the vehicle, there was no door handles and no way to escape. Dawn used her bandmate's cell phone to call her dad, but eventually the bandmate was taken out of the car and Dawn was left in there alone for 2 hours. The docs say she screamed as loud as she could, but no one responded. It was late evening in the wintertime. The windows were heavily tinted and the interior of the car was dark except for faint interior lights. All of her items were inside of the studio still. Her dad.
This is terrible. This sounds like he had everybody around the house of terrors. Like, that's something out of a horror movie. Somebody lock you in a car and there's no doors and they leave you there for hours.
Did eventually come to the studio, but the docs say that interaction also resulted in more fear of Diddy because he allegedly told her father to, quote, think about your family and your daughter's career. And then the following day, Diddy allegedly called Dawn and said, quote, you don't call your dad unless you're in the hospital. So all of that and more is the basis for her lawsuit and her 21 causes of action, which include violation of the Victims of Gender Motivated Violence Act, which you probably know a lot of the SA lawsuits from last year were also filed under this act, and the act was extended to March 2025, so more lawsuits can continue to be filed under this act. The other causes of action include
and I think they specifically filed that. I believe that act went into effect specifically so that they could get Diddy. Yeah, he pissed somebody off real bad.
Say trafficking, false imprisonment, intentional infliction of emotional distress, hostile work environment, fraud, and intentional misrepresentation. She is asking for a jury trial, and as of now, there has been no response from Diddy's team. I'm not a lawyer, but I read.
Okay, so y'all go subscribe to I'm Not a Lawyer, but on TikTok, because she did her thing with that when she came with the receipts. Now, I'm wondering, is Miami gonna say anything? Is Young Miami gonna say anything? You know, she's claiming that he never mistreated her and she didn't witness any of this stuff going on. But I don't believe that for a second. As a matter of fact, Lil Rob, the producer that's doing all these interviews, he went on Tisa Tells claiming that Carisha had to be with Diddy during the holidays and that her children were noticeably never around. So I don't know if that was because Diddy wouldn't allow her children to be around or because she knew the type of person that he was and she just sent them away because she knew she had to be there and she didn't want to subject her kids to possibly being victims of SA or something brutal like that. So I think that Carisha is lying. I think that she's trying to distance herself from the situation or make it seem like she was completely ignorant to his nature. But men like this eventually show their true colors to every woman that they're dealing with. They're not one way with one woman and then they get with another woman and they're completely reformed. They might be on their best behavior for a time while they are trying to mentally trap that woman or mentally eggplantmatize that woman. But once they see that they have her, that's when they go all the way in. I remember when Toya, Lil Wayne's baby mother, got with Memphis. Y'all remember that? And K Michelle had been with him as well. And K Michelle had been saying, hey, he laid hands and feet on me. And everybody was calling K Michelle a liar. It just seems like people can't wrap their mind around a woman who speaks up for herself and is confident and a little bit loud. They can't wrap their mind around a man victimizing that type of woman. Either they feel like she brought it on herself or she's lying. Well, I remember that was a huge thing on Love and Hip Hop. And then Toya was saying she was lying. Rashida said she was lying, only for Toya to end up getting a divorce and making the same allegations against that very same man, right? Because eventually he started doing the same thing to her. So I don't believe for one second that Young Miami was completely oblivious to his nature. Maybe she hadn't fully experienced it, but I think she knew that something was not right. And she probably had seen some things as well. Now, what I'm interested to see is if those girls from Dream, y'all remember Dream? He loves me, he loves you not. I cannot sing, y'all. That song, I'm gonna pull them up. I'm gonna pull them up. It was a white girl group in the early 2000s. I loved them, y'all. Dream. Okay, I'm gonna pull them up. Y'all gonna know exactly who I'm talking about. Oh, yep, this music video. No, I can't play the music. I just want the pictures. Okay, give me a second. Oh, here's the picture with them. And I didn't realize at the time that Diddy managed these girls, that they were signed to Bad Boys, because you would have never known. Do y'all remember them? Let me make sure y'all can see it. Only young girl group I remember was 3LW. These were white girls, though. They were white girls. And at the time, you would have never associated them with Bad Boys because they were a pop group. They were a pop group, but they had a little bit of flair. But when I tell you they had that one hit, it's called He Loves You Not. If y'all ever get a chance to go listen to it or watch the video, I used to try to learn the moves and everything. Well, one of the members, let me find a good picture of her. One of the members has filed a lawsuit against Nick Carter from the Backstreet Boys, right? They went to court and everything. Okay, so she's the one at the very bottom, the blonde with the long hair. She's very pretty. This one right here. Her name is Melissa Schumer. And she was basically like the lead singer of the group. She was the prettiest one in the group. Well, I don't know what happened. I don't know what's the tea, but y'all know how Diddy does his artists. You might get one, maybe two good albums, and then after that, it's like your career comes crumbling down. So I'm interested to see if these ladies are going to come out and tell their stories, right? Because these were his girls before there was ever a Danity Kane. Now Melissa came out and said that in 2003, Nick Carter SA'd her. And she's continued to say the same thing for years now. Now I love me some Backstreet Boys, and it really breaks my heart that Nick Carter allegedly, did that. But I wonder if they experienced any of that with Diddy. And honestly and truly, I don't even think it's something that I have to wonder. If all the other women around him were experiencing this, then I'm sure they have some stories to tell. And if they come out and tell their stories, now y'all know they are not going to let up on Diddy if these white women come out and tell that he was essaying them or laying hands and feet on them or being aggressive towards them. And I'm sure he was. I wonder if they are involved in any way in this investigation. But I'm telling you, once they get involved, if they get involved, it's really over. But here is the story about Melissa and Nick Carter.
So Melissa Schumann is suing Nick Carter.
And to be clear, this was last year. He made this TikTok last year, and it looks like November. I'm sorry, March. No, April of 2020.
If you're not familiar with this, Melissa Schumann came forward years ago and said that Nick Carter SA'd her back in 2002. Melissa was in the girl group Dream, and
I'm sorry, 2002, not 2003.
When she came forward, the DA office declined to prosecute. Carter has strongly.
There's also a documentary about this whole situation on HBO, because this is not the only woman who made allegations against Nick Carter. There was another girl who came out when Nick Carter was in his 20s. She was, I believe, 15, and she was friends with the younger sister. I believe her name is Angel, Aaron's twin. She was friends with Aaron Carter's twin. And she went over the house for like a weekend, and their parents, Nick and Aaron's parents, they let everybody get drunk, kids, everybody underage, everybody getting drunk. And she says that Nick Carter slept with her on multiple occasions.
Denied these allegations made by Melissa. Nick's attorney says that Melissa Schumann has been peddling this tale for many years, but her allegation was false when she first made it back in 2017, and it still is. A judge in Nevada recently ruled, after reviewing the extensive evidence we laid out, that there are strong grounds for Nick Carter to proceed with his lawsuit against Ms. Schumann for plotting to damage, defame, and extort Nick, his associates, his friends, and his family. Nick's lawyer goes on to say, in light of our progress in Nevada, this kind of response is at once both predictable and pathetic. But this PR...
And this story is so crazy because at one point, Aaron Carter was going back and forth. Like, he's actually came out in support of Melissa, and he came out and said that Nick Carter had done this to multiple women. But I think when him and Nick were on the outs, he would agree with these women and say that he's seen Nick do some of these things. But then when him and Nick were cool trying to work on their relationship, he would withdraw his statements and say he was just tripping. He didn't mean to say all that. That whole story is really interesting. And, Backstreet Boys still tours. And honestly and truly, I don't even know how to feel about that, because, again, these allegations, they're hard to prove. So he hasn't been convicted of anything. And at the same time, you have other group members who are involved who would be out of money if Nick could not go on tour. So I don't know how to feel about that. it's very disappointing. I'll say that.
Stunt won't shake Nick from his determination to hold Miss Schumann and her co-conspirators to account for their immeasurable pain and suffering their extortionate conduct has caused. So Melissa Schumann is suing Nick.
Okay, so I'm just wondering, that's interesting. I'm wondering if Dream is going to get involved in this. I wonder if any of those members have testified, are involved in this in any way. And I wonder if this will lead to Nick Carter getting dragged back into it. And if he did that, he definitely deserves to get dragged back into it. Let's be clear. So what I'm going to do right now, guys, I'm going to drop an invite into the comment section. If you want to come up and give your opinion on this whole scandal with P. Diddy, if you agree or disagree, or you want to offer some additional insight, feel free to come up. You don't have to be on camera. You can just get on your phone with your avatar or whatever. I understand, you know, some of y'all already got your bonnet on. You already rubbing your feet together and you just want to lay up and chit chat. That's okay. So the link is in the chat. Now, D. Malley, was 3LW signed to Bad Boy? Who were they signed to? But honestly and truly, guys, I don't believe that P. Diddy was the only one who engaged in these type of practices. Because if y'all remember, the industry was very cutthroat back then. I go back and I'm even thinking of my own self-image as a young girl. So because those women were so thin, I'm talking about in size 1 or size 0, I remember being, you know, I've been this height since I was 12. I remember being 5'7", 140 pounds. But because of how thin these women were on TV, I remember thinking that I was fat, right? And then hearing these type of comments, these men constantly calling women who had a little bit of meat on their bones fat. So I remember growing, and I look at those old pictures of myself and I'm like, I was nowhere near that. But that was the mentality at the time. Like, if you had any type of curvature or fluff to you, you thought you were fat. I mean, y'all got to think about it. Even the women I just showed y'all on Dream, incredibly thin. The girls on Danity Kane, incredibly thin. 3LW, those girls were incredibly thin at that time. And we're watching them on TV. So, you know, the camera adds weight. I can't imagine how they looked in person. So during that time, I'm pretty sure lots of women in the industry experienced a certain level of psychological abuse and pressure, right? About their image, pressure to stay thin. And obviously you should be trying to work out and eat healthy. So I'm not saying that should never be the goal. I'm just saying, like, how regular girls used to compare ourselves to women who were behind the scenes getting abused and emotionally pressured to look that way is crazy. Okay, guys, I'm going to give y'all a couple minutes to come up and share your opinion if you want to. And if not, that's fine. I'm going to get off and go bake some chicken because I'm hungry. I haven't eaten. I still have to eat, and I still have to work out. Five one and 140 may be a bit much, but not 5'7". Yeah, not at all. Like, if you look at pictures of me back then, like, I think I was one of those people, though. I've always been, how do you say it? Like, I've always been curvaceous. I'm gonna say that. Like, I remember when I was 12, people used to think that even women used to make certain comments. Like, the women would think that I was active. They'd be like, you know, because I was 12, I was curvy, and I had always had, you know, a behind. So the women would accuse me of being active, and I wasn't even active. I think it was something in the milk. But back then, y'all, I look at those old music videos now of the women who they used to say, like, what is that song by Belle Biv DeVoe, Poison. If you look at all the women in that music video, they did not really have big butts like that. But back then, that was considered a big butt, right? So if you had more than that, you were considered fat, even amongst Black people. So times have definitely changed. Okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get off of here. Y'all remember to hit the like button on your way out. And again, just remember that I am going to be doing lives a few times a week. Look out for it. Make sure that you hit your notification bell. Also, if you are interested in one-on-one coaching to help you deal with the situation, to help you execute a plan for accountability, hit me up at thepassportsis@gmail.com. And any links, if you want to book travel with me, again, hit me up on my email. Or if you want to book your own travel, I have my website for travel in the description box. And that's it, guys. Y'all have a good night.